Hey guys, Crewman here, and welcome back to episode 3 of GPU Market Watch. This week, another GPU. 3 supers in 3 weeks. The final one is the 4080 Super. I'm still on the 4070 Ti Super, to be honest with you. There's just not enough time in the day to get all this stuff done. All you major content creators out there who got review samples, my heart goes out to you guys for all the work you guys have done. We appreciate it no matter what, whether we agree with you or not. You guys are the real heroes out there. So without further ado, let's go look at some price trends, and let me give you the group buys and the ones you need to stay away from. This is an interesting episode. There are quite a lot more maybes in here than there were last week. That means the market's shifting. All right, so as always, you can see the column right back here. This gets updated every week. These are all the models that I think are worth it for GPU mining. Obviously, we start with GPU mining and then we work our way to gaming. I'll have timestamps down below for everybody who is interested to either see the gaming side or the mining side or both. So let's get to it. We've got the 16 series, the 1660 Super, and the 1660 Ti. The 1660 Super has actually gone up in price a little bit, which was kind of surprising to me. I don't understand why it's going up, guys. And I'm not going to do it any favors because I've actually had a really good month mining all my 1660 Supers, but you got to remember, I didn't pay anything for them. I mean, I get they're efficient, but I just don't buy them, guys. Don't do it. I think maybe one of the reasons the price is trending upwards is because it is a very affordable and very efficient GPU for gaming and for mining, and it still has a pretty good reputation from the last GPU crisis. So we move on to the 1660 Ti. I actually need to get one of these to test with because I am quite interested in them. The efficiency is actually no joke. I just don't want to pay even the price I'd pay. I think if you can get these things for 70 to 80 bucks, maybe. Like I said, I need to go borrow one from somebody. I'm going to go try to wrangle one up in the next week or two so I can do some testing on it and report back to you guys. All right, now we move on to the 20 series. Nothing has really changed as far as my opinion on these for mining. But as far as the prices, you'll notice that 2080 Super and the 2060 have gone up, and the rest of the models have basically gone down, minus the 2080 Ti, which stayed the same. Now, the interesting thing is the 2080 Super and the 2060 are the best GPUs in the 20 lineup for gaming in terms of their price points, in my humble opinion. So I wonder if that has something to do with it. The 2080 Ti had a pretty high volume this month, and it stayed basically the same. I think that's a great miner. I would get this one for mining, and I actually forgot to highlight it green. I did this early in the morning, and I did not get much sleep last night. So that is definitely a buy. I would not buy any of the other ones for mining. And one more thing, for anybody new, if it says not enough data, that means that there wasn't enough volume to get any accurate numbers. So let's move on to the 30 series. We see that the 30 series actually has been trending downwards for the last 2 weeks. The first episode I did 3 weeks ago now, the 30 series prices were going through the roof. Crypto mining prices were really good, and everybody was really, really excited and was trying to buy their GPUs before the bear market ended and the bull market started. Well, crypto prices are not very good right now, and you kind of see it being reflected in GPUs. And another thing is, I think you noticed that there's kind of like a range that people want to pay for their GPUs. I would almost say like the 300 to 330 range. I think that the only 30 series I would buy for mining is the 3060 Ti, because it has gone down in price again. It's about $275, which is what I would pay. I would actually pay market for these things. I think they're very solid. The 3070, man, I have a love-hate relationship with $300 3070s. Maybe I'm on the fence. But I feel like I'm kind of biased by my situation, and I'm trying not to be. So if you're looking to get into it, and every dollar counts in the beginning, like you don't want to spend $50 to $75 more on a GPU, I could see the 3070 being one that you'd want to get. Further up the stack, just ignore them all. They're all terrible. 40 series makes them all obsolete. Interestingly enough, the 3080 Ti has not really gone down in value, neither has a 3090. There was, again, another week of not enough data of 3090 Ti's, which basically means people who have them are not selling them. So I have a feeling that AI's got these ones pretty firmly in their grasp. And basically, just avoid them unless you specifically need the extra VRAM they come with. Stay away from them. They're not worth messing around with. Let's move on to the 40 series. 4060 has gone up. I would ignore it. One thing I do want to preface on the 40 series, there's two things. The first thing is sometimes there is better deals on Amazon Marketplace. And eBay is also very good. It kind of fluctuates between the two. And you may even find them new, maybe under MSRP, depending on where you look. This one is very much going to be a moving target. A lot of these GPUs, whether I like them or not, it just depends on how their price point is compared to another GPU. So it's going to seem like I'm going all over the place, but I swear there's a method to my madness. So stay with me. First, the 4060 Ti is still a Crewman can't miss pick. It's only one of two Crewman can't miss picks on here anymore. This one, if you can get it anywhere from $350 to even its used price of $380, I would go ahead and do it. I've seen them cheap every now and then. The market price used, sorry, I forgot to keep this here. It's basically the same. But like I said, I think it's a can't miss pick. It's a great miner. It should be what you should be buying if you can only afford a 38, a 70 priced card, unless literally that $50 will make a difference to you. But I would very much be buying 4060 Ti's. And me personally, I am going to be looking to start liquidating 3070 slowly and replacing them with 40 series. I'll go in depth on why in another video, but it will make sense. The 4070 is an interesting one. It's a very big maybe. It really depends on where you find its price. At MSRP, it's a no-go. It's a dud. Get the 4070 Super. If you can find these things between $450 and like $470, I think you owe it to yourself to pick them up. I have two, and they mine great. Now, I bought these a long time ago, but you know I have good things to say about the card, but I would not buy it at MSRP. So essentially, we need the price of these things to drop to about the $450 to the $475 range is the very max. So we're not going anywhere above that. Then there may be, but at MSRP at $550, even at the price drop, they are a no-go. And like I said, their current market is borderline. The 4070 Super, the data speaks for itself. It's an incredible card, and it is my cannot miss pick. If I had to buy GPUs at market, it would be the 4070 Super over the 4060 Ti, I think. I love it. I think it's a great card, and I plan on getting more of them. After the 4070 Ti is unavailable, if you can get a 4070 Ti for anywhere around $600 to $630, I would get it. They're still too high on the market. They're still too high new, but they're essentially just going to sit on the shelves because nobody in their right mind would pay $780 or even $750 for a 4070 Ti when you can get a 4070 Super for $600. Even in gaming, I've shown that they're basically the same thing. 4070 Ti's could potentially be a cannot miss must buy over the 4070 Supers, at least temporarily, if you can get these things for anywhere near 4070 Super MSRP. If you can, 4070 Ti is just better. Get it. The 4070 Ti Super, I have one brand new in the box. I haven't opened it yet. I have to get to it still. I'm hoping to get enough data on that to have an answer for you by next week. Currently, I don't know. So I don't want to say anything else. There's other people that have done videos. You can take a look. But right now, I wouldn't be worried. I'm not too worried about not having any information because I really like where the 4070 Super and the 4070 Ti are at. The 4080. These 40 series names are driving me crazy. I don't know how you guys did it when the 20 series came out. The 4080, don't buy it at MSRP. Don't sniff it. Don't touch it. Move on. Used price. You need to get this thing for as close to $850 as you can. Right now, they're at about $975, so that's still too high. If you can get these close to the 4070 Ti Super, they're worth buying. If you can't, or I think they're worth buying. Again, I have one, but I have to do a deep dive into it. I never actually did one. I just kind of bought it really cheap a year ago, and I just kind of sat on it. I mean, I've been mining on it since, but I need to do a deep dive to understand the card better. So I hope I will have an answer for you with that next week too, which will lead directly into the 4080 Super. Right now, there's not enough data. It just came out. I personally think it's a gaming card. I don't think it's worth it for mining, especially when you can get the 4070 Ti Super, but I need more data. But right now, I would think that the 4080 Super will be the worst card in the stack for mining, purely because of its price. With the 40 series, I think the price matters so much right now because of how weird the value skews, like the value is, with models moving all over the place and, you know, 2 models basically getting phased out of production. The 4090, I would not buy it for mining. It costs too much, especially when you consider the fact that you could get 3 4070 Supers for the price of one 4090, and you're basically getting 1.5 4090s. So stay away from them. They're not worth it. And then finally, we have the don't buys, the 1650 and the 10 series. Don't buy them for mining. They're not worth it. I don't care what anybody says. Again, this is my opinion, but if you listen to what I have to say, don't buy these for mining. So closing thoughts on Nvidia for mining. Basically, the 2080 Ti, the 3060 are my go-to picks, not in the latest generation. But other than that, I would avoid everything, basically, in Nvidia, except for the 40 series. And my cannot misses would be, based on current prices, the 4060 Ti and the 4070, with the 4070 Ti and the 4080, and even the 4070, could replace those depending on how you can get them. Honestly, you should have a plan for your price, like for what you want to pay. You should be comfortable with a number that you want to pay, and then you should be just refreshing Amazon Warehouse or eBay. And if you find it for the price you want to pay, just snap it up and be happy with it. Don't read into it too much. All right, so let's move on to AMD. This is a lot smaller. There's a lot less going on with AMD. Let's start off with the 5600 XT. It hasn't really gone up in price, but the volume was really low this week. If you see the asterisk, that's what's going on. There was pretty low volume, and I didn't really see anything. So I'm just kind of leaving everything the way it is. But if you can buy those, as far as AMD goes, that's my cannot miss buy. The 5700, I actually got some market data on it. $140, I wouldn't buy it. I still think it's too expensive for what it can do, especially when you can buy 5600 XT, and it's essentially the same thing. The 5700 XT, I don't know what is going on with this thing. Can you guys please tell me what's going on with this thing? It is now up to $185 on eBay. Please don't pay $185 on eBay for this thing. Please, please, please. I get that it fulfills a budget niche and it's cheap, but go find yourself some 5600 XTs, or I don't know, even buy some 1660 Supers or something. Just don't buy 5700 XTs. Please, I'm begging you, don't buy them. Moving on to the 6000 series. They're mostly duds now. The prices are going up on the lower end models, which is hurting their value profitability, and they're going down on the higher end ones. So basically, the only one that I would look at is the 6600. I think the 6600 XT could be a maybe. I actually just got one in the mail, and I have to do some testing on it. So again, I would like to do that in a week or two. It's just life and work and this. It's all crazy, and I'm not making excuses. I'm just being honest with you. The 6650, I'll never test it. It's just an inefficient 6600, so I would avoid it. The 6700 and the 6700 XT are efficient. They just cost too much. Me telling you not to buy them is just because they cost too much. And gamers are snapping them up, which is why I think their prices are going up. I think they're hitting that sweet spot that gamers want, and I think you're seeing that with the 6600 XT as well. So again, I would not buy any of those for mining. Anything from the 6650 to the 6700. The 6800 is a maybe. Now the price has gone down. What I would pay for it is relatively somewhat close. I mean, it's not really that close. I mean, I needed to get within $50. Like, I don't think I'd pay more than $325 to $335 for 6800. If you can't, just skip it. Although I will say that you can get them for $430 new. If you want that warranty and you don't mind paying $100 for it, it's an option. I wouldn't do it, but it is an option. The 6800 XT, it's actually a pretty solid buy. The market has gone down quite a bit on these things, which is kind of interesting in my opinion. So I would actually think that that one is what I would be targeting, the 6800 XT over the 6800. just because you get better value proposition and it should hold its resale value longer in the future. Don't buy the 6900 XT. It's just an inefficient 6800 XT. I mean, if you get it for really cheap, like if you could get it for 425, so if you could buy like a 6900 XT or a 6800 XT for the same price, just buy the 6900 XT. But unless it's that situation, I would not do it. The Radeon 7, they've actually gone down in price, but I would avoid them for the reasons that I have listed in the last few videos. They're just too hard to mess up, or they're just too easy to mess up and hard to get good with. Don't buy the following for AMD for mining. The list is pretty long. The 6000 series refresh, the 7000 series, Polaris, and Vegas. Stay away from them. Honestly, I think that if you know about AMD mining cards, I think I would go there. If you are insistent on using AMD GPUs, the 6600 and the 6800 XT are my go-tos. I'd probably be stacking as many 6600s and maybe 6600 XTs as I possibly could. And if you can get 5600 XTs under $100, you won't regret it. I have a 5-card rig of them, or I have a 6-card Navi rig mining. One day I'll tell you guys what I paid for it, but not right now. And they're doing great. So if you can get them for cheap, go for it. All right, well, if you just jumped into the video, this is my market watch for gaming. This is a little different, as you might notice that the prices I would pay for gaming are different than the prices I would pay for mining. Remember, for gaming, you only have to buy 1, maybe 2. You don't buy 20 of them. And the value proposition is totally different. You are, like with mining, you're trying to get the value of the card back as fast as possible. With gaming, you're trying to buy a card for a good price and then use it till ideally it's not worth anything anymore. Like if you did a good job with your gaming GPU, if say you bought it for $700 and then you sold it for like $400 to $500, 3 to 4 years later, it was worth it. That's how I look at gaming. So the prices will be adjusted accordingly, and the models I will look at will be adjusted accordingly. So without further ado, let's start with the 980 Ti. I actually have been thinking about it, and I think the 980 Ti is too expensive for what it can do. I think it's a no buy anymore. I think I was just a little too excited for it. I had a honeymoon period, and then I realized that it's not very good. You shouldn't be buying it. If you can get it for like $50, we're actually going to change the price I'd pay. If you can get it for like $50, I think it's a no-brainer. Other than that, Maxwell was fun. It's time to move on. Let's move on to the 10 series and the 16 series. The 1070 is my new can't miss buy. It's just better than so many other cards. It basically holds its own up to everything but the 2070, and then it starts to kind of get a tiny kicked. But that said, you can get these things for $100. If you can get them for anywhere between 90 and 100, buy one. You won't regret it. I sold one to a buddy of mine, and he's been using it for years now, and he loves it. I think that's my can't miss pick in the budget Nvidia space, especially since it works with FSR, which is kind of cool. The 1080 Ti is still too expensive. Once it gets down to like maybe like 130, I think we'll be talking. I think it'll be probably my next can't miss must buy. I think it's a workhorse. It just still costs so much money. I cannot believe it's holding its value as well as it is. I've actually kind of changed my mind on the 1650. I've never really used one. I kind of studied it a little more, and I think if you can get them for like $70, I think it would be worth buying. They're around $80. I forgot to update this. Used right now, and I think you'd be doing good for an entry-level gaming PC for spending $80. At least on the Nvidia side. I think there are better alternatives on the AMD side, which I'll list later. I would avoid everything. I would avoid the 1660 Ti. I just don't think the value is there. For the 20 series, I'd avoid the 2060, although a lot of gamers were disagreeing with me because the price is going up. I just don't think it's worth it. I'd rather have a 1070 than a 2060, and it costs you a lot less. 2060 Super, 2070, I'd probably avoid. The 2070 Super, don't buy the FEs as they're pretty inflated. I mean, they're pretty beautiful, so I get why. But if you can get one of these between 150 to 160, I think it could be a fantastic buy. I wouldn't pay marketplace, which is why I put maybe, but highlighted it in green because it was a strong maybe. Avoid the 2080, just skip it. My can't miss must buy for the 250 range to maybe 300, the 2080 Super. You won't get a better deal. You save a little bit of cash buying it. I mean, you can get them for like $250. So you can get basically 3070 performance for like $60 less. And $60 in that kind of budget build will go a long way. I would absolutely buy the 2080 Super, and it actually works with DLSS too, so it should last longer. It's my cannot miss, must buy pick on the AMD side, or on the Nvidia side, although there's an AMD GPU that's going to give it a run for its money, and it inspired me to do a video, but I need a 2080 Super. So if any of you have one that you wouldn't mind selling me for cheap, because I need to benchmark it and have it for a while, or just let me borrow it, I would very much appreciate it. I'll take one with dead fans, I'll take a blower, I don't care. I'll do whatever I have to do to save a buck. Moving on, avoid the 2080 Ti. Miners are grabbing it, and the price will stay high, and the performance difference is not worth it. 30 series, this is where it gets interesting. Basically take every 30 series from the 3070 Ti under and scratch them. You're fighting with miners, you're never going to get good value. Stay away from them. The 2080 Super will fill that niche. The 3080 actually, at its current price point of $450, is going to do real damage to the 40 series. I think if you were on the fence and you didn't want to spend a lot of money and you didn't mind buying used, I would be going for a 3080 at the $450-ish price range. And you would not be missing out, as it is a fantastic gaming GPU. If you don't mind spending a little more, the 3080 Ti is pretty amazing. But when you get to that kind of price point, you may be better off buying the 4070 Super. So it's kind of like a maybe. It just depends if you think the VRAM will be more valuable going forward, which it doesn't really even have that much more VRAM. So, I mean, that one's tough. I mean, it's kind of like a maybe, but it's kind of like a maybe. So if you get a good deal, maybe. Otherwise, like if you get it for $500, I would do it. But otherwise, I would just go to the 40 series. We ignore the 3090 and the 3090 Ti. They don't count for gaming GPUs anymore. They're now in the grasp of AI, and you'll never see them again. We'll skip the 4060 and the 4060 Ti. No. They are not gaming GPUs. Don't treat them like them. Let the miners have those awfully binned garbage pieces of silicon. The 4070, I think, is a big no, with the 3080 price range being what it is. You'd have to basically get a 4070 for like $400. Otherwise, I'd say 3080 all day. It's a stronger card, and I just like it better. It uses more power, but as a gamer, I don't care about efficiency personally. The 4070 Super, though, I think is my can't miss for gaming. If you want a 3090 type card and you don't want to pay used prices and you want to get a card with warranty, I think you get that one. I think the 4070 Ti, again, that one just comes down to if you can get it for the same price as the 4070 Super, you buy it. The 4070 Ti Super, the jury's out. I'm still not sure yet. You got to give me some time on that one. The 4080, if you can get it for $850 for gaming, go for it. Now, this is where it differs. The 4080 Super, I think, is the best value Halo SKU for gaming. Unless you're like penny pinching and you need that extra like $70 to $80, which I don't think you are doing if you're paying $1,000 on a GPU. The 4080 Super is your buy, and it's reflected in the fact that it is sold out at a lot of places. It's not impossible to get. I see them in stock still, and I passed on quite a few of them because I just am not in a place financially where I could buy one to review. But I would get it for gaming. I think it's great. And then the 4090 speaks for itself. If you're buying a 4090, you don't care about price, you don't care about value, you literally just want the best. It's what's in my gaming PC, and I will buy a 5090 and a 6090 like that. So you just buy it. None of those numbers really matter because if you want one, you want one. However, as far as best value Halo SKU, I think the 4080 Super finally killed the 7900 XTX. I just don't think there's a reason to buy it anymore, and I think it's just it's gone. AMD's really got to step up its price point. It's got to hit the $800 to probably the $800 price range for it to still be viable. Now, let's move on to AMD. This one's kind of interesting. The Polaris GPUs, don't buy them new. Please don't do that. You're better than that. I don't want you buying them new. They're not good. They're terrible. Don't buy them new. Used, pay $50 and no more. At $50, they're great. Anything else, I would skip them. The next one you're going to have, again, it's just value all around. The 5600 XT is your GPU of choice for the $125 to $100 price point. It's what I would buy over basically anything. I think I'd even buy it over the 1070. But it's a tight neck and neck race between the 1070 and the 5600 XT. I would skip everything else for gaming because miners somehow want them. It's crazy. Like the 5700 and the 5700 XT. We're going to move to the 6700 XT. This is one that I told you was terrible value for mining, but for gaming, I think it's perfect. I think it fights the 2080 Super as what card you should be buying for gaming right now. You can get it decently new. You can get it, if you can get it at like 330 from market, or if you can get it at like, I don't know, I want to say 360 is not the worst for new. If you can get it at anywhere between 200 and 280, I would probably go for it at like 250. I think it's a can't miss pick. I actually need to change that to a can't miss pick because it rivals a 2080 Super. We skipped the 6800 and the 6800 XT. They just get outclassed by my next can't miss pick, the 6900 XT and the 6950 XT. They are phenomenal cards. The prices speak for themselves. If you can get these things for market or anywhere close to market, snap them up. You will not regret it. They are probably my number one. It would probably be in like a tier list. It would be the 6900 XT, then the 3080 at that price point, and then I have to compare the 2070 Super or the 2060 Super and the 6700 XT, and then on the lower end of that, the 5600 XT is my undisputed can't miss pick. We're skipping the Radeon 7. You shouldn't be gaming with it. They don't even offer driver support anymore. The 7000 series, it's not looking good, boys. Nvidia has kind of dropped the hammer. Essentially, the 7900 XT looks pretty good. I have to do more testing on the 4070 Ti Super. I have to do enough testing to see if it's worth buying, or maybe the 7900 XT just loses to like the 4080. But right now, that is the only one that I would consider. I think. Especially at its price point. I think the 7900 XTX, if you can get them at $800 or less, you buy them. Otherwise, you go Nvidia for the 40 series. So, in conclusion, guys, what trends are we seeing? Well, I would think that with gaming and for mining, the trends that we are seeing are a drop to a mean price of like, I want to say like $300 to $350 is where gamers want to pay for their cards. Anything more, and they have no problem going to the lower end of the stack. And anything, and the people that want stuff higher, the higher stuff is holding, but the volume's not there. If you look at eBay, the volume just isn't there. As far as the 40 series goes, I think it's just a lot of sitting and waiting. I know I'm waiting. Prices aren't quite as low as where I want them to be. Unless you're buying 4070 Supers, then you're not waiting, but I would wait. And then obviously the 4080 Super for gamers, just buy it. It's great. But that's really it. With AMD, I think we're seeing a price trend of the cheaper GPUs going up in price because people see the value that AMD gives them at around the $300 price point, and people are prepared to pay that much. Anything lower, and minus, say, the 6900 and the 6950, they're kind of rebellion, and they're pushing the prices back down. So I think there's a lot of consolidation towards the center point of the used markets, minus the 40 series. And the 40 series is just sit and wait. So I hope you guys like this episode. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Croup Man